All right, we are popping back in here and continuing the adventures. So, you have these goblets. You have a entire kind of bit of information that's been provided with them, and you've kind of determined that it must mean somewhere in the early Middle Eastern region, one of the old civilizations, probably around the time of early Babylon, early Egypt, because those would have been coincided around the time of the Second City. The very beginnings of those areas might be linked to it. They both had dynasties, like ancient Babylon, with ancient Mesopotamia, ancient Egypt both have dynasties, and dynasties did refer to a number of other kingdoms in that area, but those are the two most famous.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember because it's been a couple of weeks. For the 3 million from Yeezy, did he end up actually coming to New York?
Yeah,
he was going to be a neighbor.
He was. He hasn't gotten here yet. You heard tale that he is getting a... He's probably contacted you already. He's getting like... He's actually, with the money he has, he's buying an apartment. He found a place that's actually not too expensive to buy with the amount of money he has, and he's decided just to buy it outright, move in, call it a day, you know. Apparently that was the suggestion from his mentor, if he has the money for it.
Neat. So, actually, what might then have happened is I might have offered to take care of the paperwork and, like, the down payment or something, because he just gave me a whole bunch of money.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's basically what it is. It's like he helped arrange to get the money, and in return, you basically helped arrange for him to get like a permanent place to live in New York, if he wants when he wants to be in New York.
Neat.
British mage boy in the house in the big NYC, Big Apple with the Yeezy.
Please tell me he's wearing one of the I Heart New York t-shirts.
He totally will be when you see him again.
But he's bedazzled it.
And he probably has he has one of those like Statue of Liberty hats too.
Yes. And the matching glasses.
Yes.
All right. So let's give our old pal Yeezy a call.
That's how he wanders into your apartment as he's there. He's like, "Yo, Nathan boy, what's up? My guy under the sun, who's not under the sun, under the moon. Hey, Yeezy for show in your house, in your hizzy, here to do majin. Don't leave it a tizzy."
Wow. Are you releasing that on a label?
Oh no, boy, I could be. I heard tale that some crazy mage dude tried to like awaken a whole bunch of people in a big concert, and his head exploded. Dude, you want to be careful when it comes to using magics and musics. You don't want no head explode.
You're right, I don't. What do you know about ley lines?
Oh, you. A few things here and there. What do you want to know?
I'm just expanding my interests, and I was wondering where these things sort of congregate, I suppose. Where they meet.
I've only heard about a few of these things here. Most of the time, we talk about them, though apparently, I've heard tales from my master, because he's very smart, that a couple other groups kind of mess around with these energies. They're like lines of energies that kind of cross across the world, form like little nodes in various places. Places of power. Sometimes creatures kind of go there. It's a natural wellspring of the magic energy. Also, if you deal with the spirit worlds, it's said that you can access the spirit world easier from one of these places.
Neat. Are there any around here?
It's hard to tell. It's hard to track the ley lines, because they aren't just like crisscross like the map, like the longitude and latitude. They're crazy ways they do it, bending and twisting in unusual maze. And it's not like a perfect everywhere on a sphere, so you never know. Sometimes you can detect them here and there, but the thing is, I usually try to be careful, and most of my kind don't try to dive too deep into it, because there's others that use these points of interest. Like the big old woofy boys, they got some of their bases of opportunities smack dab in the middle of them nodes. So if you're gonna look out for one, be careful, because you might run into one of their layers, and they will not like you finding it. My master told me that. Keep an eye out for those dudes. They will shank you no ways to Tuesday. You think life on the streets, being the most pimpiest pimp of them all, is difficult? Nah, dog. When you work with them mangy wolf boys, they will tear your guts open and tie it around your neck, hanging you from it all before you die. Well, I guess it's less deadly on you.
Well, as I have already died, probably true.
They aren't the only places that form at these supernatural connections, because there's many of them around the world. Sometimes even mortals get it right and find these spiritual places and build stuff there. Like Stonehenge. It is supposed to be an actual cross line of ley lines, but the thing is, nothing big is built there for, like, as far as I know, supernaturally stuff. At least not currently. Too much of a tourist attraction, you know? Ancient days, big difference. But nowadays, with all the tourists showing up, no one wants to try to tap into that. You get shanked by all manner of people, and, you do have to worry about some other ones, too. Nodes attuned to what nodes attuned to, wherever they're at. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
How would we go about detecting?
If we're near one.
Unfortunately, dog, it's kind of hard unless you're a master of spirits, and that is not what that's not the spheres I dive into normally.
Could it be possible for us to obtain an item from someone who delves with spirits that can detect them? Is it something that can be turned into a magical item of sorts?
Possibly. We'd have to get you on contact with someone who's of a different tradition than my own. Granted, each of the traditions kind of can dive into the other ones, but like, what's a good way of explaining that? Each of us has a specialty, kind of like, I guess, each of you got your own special blood, as my master explained it. You're different groups, you know? It's the same way that when each of us learns our ways, when we awaken to it, we kind of deal with different powers, too.
All right.
What we're going to need to find for you is Dream Speaker.
Excellent.
I see.
I don't even know if they'd help you, though. They aren't really big on...
Vampires.
No, really understanding us. And they, we kind of, like, look at things in a different way. Think of us as, like, looking at the world through the lens of, like, science and technology in the virtual world. The virtual world has the same energies as, like, the ley lines and magic of the world. And so it almost mimics it. So it kind of can be manipulated in the same way. That's what we look at as a virtual adept, as the tradition I belong to. they look at things as like the ancient things, like think of it's probably not all like this, but think of like a Native American dude in his tent somewhere, doing all kinds of rituals.
And drugs.
Maybe.
All right.
Though I hear they are all over the world, so you get like that spiritual kind of guys from various places.
Makes sense. Well, thank you very kindly. This has been enlightening. How are you? How do you like your new apartment?
Yo, it's got such a great view. I can see the river and the statue on a good day. Yo, it's so awesome. Man, Nathan, you hit me up with some great stuff. If you need any more magic-y advice, I totally got you down. Easy for show out.
A great day. So we do actually know someone who's down with the spirits, so to speak.
You do. You know someone
His
that's
name is Julian.
Yeah, Walks on Earth is from a tribe of werewolves that has very similar mentality to the Dream Speakers. The thing is, again, it's that there's a tension between mages and werewolves because, out of game, which you wouldn't understand, mages manipulate quintessence, which is the magical energy of the universe. Cairns, which are nodes, are wellsprings of quintessence. It's an attractive thing to, like, tap into. Because then maybe if you're tapping into the magic of the universe, you don't have to worry about as much paradox as you normally would anywhere else. You go to an area that's more magical, and you don't have to worry about using magic as much.
Because magical things happen there.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But then again, using it that way drains it. Unlike where the werewolves do, which if they use, it's sort of like tapping a wellspring or like using a wellspring. You know,
Kind of more like, it's kind of more like diverting water and letting it flow rather than drinking it.
yeah. Werewolves just kind of drink it. Mages are like, run it to my house! Drain it dry!
All right.
But yes, the sphere of spirit would most deal with finding ley lines.
I wonder if Ryan would be able to recognize them then.
You could ask him. Oh, I don't know. I've not actually been to a cairn yet myself. Being that we were created by, evil worm-tainted laboratories, even though, some werewolves accept us because we are now new servants of one of the spirits that some of them serve, it does mean there's still a lot of prejudice against us.
Makes sense.
You could probably, earn the right to get into one of them. But if I got into one of them, I could understand it then. But even then, it's hard to say, like, is that the proper one I'm looking for? Because when one of these places is lost, they're really hard to find. So goes the tales. Like,
I think it's less about figuring out the exact one we're looking for because it's a node, and more just being able to identify that it is a node when we're in the area that we think is the right place.
I could talk to Great Lord Cockroach, see if he could help me out. I mean, he did talk to me a little bit about your werewolfy problem you were talking about earlier. The place they were looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where he told me about places that were lost. They're sometimes really hard to find.
Makes sense.
Alright, I'll go talk to him and see what I can find out. I'll let you know. So he'll wander off then.
All right. About how long do you think that will take?
I don't know.
Like, hours, days, weeks, months, years?
we'll say hours for now, and if I have to do more, I can go back in.
Okay. Well, then I will. Would you like to go on a trip with us again, Ryan?
Sure.
Cool.
Where are we going this time?
I'm thinking Egypt.
Ooh.
Have you seen the Great Pyramids?
Oh, no. I've seen some on TV, but that's about it.
Would your girlfriend like to go with us as well?
Well, maybe. But the Great War is still going on and all, trying to liberate the rest of our people.
Yeah, that's true. Do you feel that you're fighting in the Great War by helping us?
That's a tough thing to say. Already your support has helped us a much. And that's some good to say. The money you've been, the way more than generous salary that you started giving me was help us fund a lot of stuff. That's something that we definitely needed. It's great to say, hey, we're free and we have powers. But, them black spirals, they're really mean. And, even we would have a tough time fighting one of them. Though we're very good at surviving.
Fair enough.
The entire roach deep in you. But, when they're, working alongside, of course, Pentex there, it's a very dangerous thing.
Mm-hmm.
We aren't the only experiment. We're just the least successful of them.
Least successful?
Oh, yeah. They got some more that weren't really... None of them were really successful trying to create an artificial creature like ourselves. But some of them were more successful as ours, as apparently used for weapons.
Hmm. I seem to remember someone helping save us from a black spiral dancer in some sewers. That doesn't sound like a failure to me, Ryan.
Well, again, it takes a lot of training, and most of my kind aren't really good without getting some help.
Fair enough. Well, the offer is open. Go ahead and have your discussion, and I'll charter us a flight. Or arrange the flight.
Yeah, this is a good time. I heard the oldest pyramid just reopened after restoration. Real thing, by the way.
Do you think
Literally.
we can get night visits?
Oh, joy. We get to be tourists.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I wonder if I'll get another free pass, but this time it'll be to the pyramids.
Yes. If you would inquire with Ryan, he does know of the other mockery breeds. They're the werewolves, which are basically were-dogs. The Ananura, which are were-frogs. The Karasai, which are were-rhinos.
Oh.
And the Yeren, which are were-apes.
How do we get one of the rhinos?
I mean, remember, these are artificially created. The most successful ones are the rhinos and the apes, which have been used for battle efforts.
God damn it.
Mm-hmm.
Were the people experimenting with these?
Pentex!
Pentex.
Basically an evil corporation that works for the worm. They're like, we will corrupt the world! And what is left when entropy has destroyed everything will be ours.
They're real dicks, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
The mummy guy is affiliated with them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pentex is all
than,
about, like, creating some toxic waste dumps, dumping some radiation in places, things like that.
Yeah.
Something the
No, that's probably better than I don't know about in the New World of Darkness ones. There's a group called Sharon, the Sharon organization, which are basically humans who capture supernaturals and experiment with them for how to make humans better.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Pentec's main
I was wondering
agenda-
if it was something similar to that.
A little bit. Pentec's main agenda is the spiritual, moral, and environmental corruption of the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Things that this organization does, by the way, just another fun little tidbit, are things such as incorporating like werewolf tissue, like grafts, into people to help them regenerate faster and stuff like that.
Fun.
I
Yep.
mean, like, and we haven't even mentioned
They're
that
a fun organization.
Black Spirals are not even the worst that they employ Pentax. They also have Banes and Fomori. Banes are spirits of the worm. So, like the regular
Fun.
cockroach, only worm-tainted. And Fomori are what happens when a human is fully possessed by a Bane.
Oh.
So mind, body, and spirit are completely corrupted into something very
Or-
different. Yeah.
Okay. Well, hopefully that knowledge won't be important later.
I mean, you know, there are some Fomori that have such great such great penalties as eat people. They have to eat people to survive.
I mean, not that different from us.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of do that.
Yeah, very few vampires are forced to kill people. There's only one type of vampire that actually has to eat flesh along with blood as their problem. So they tend to, you know, kill people.
So,
Anyway,
Anyway,
back to game.
back to game. Now that we've talked a little bit about, like, Pentex and stuff.
I'll arrange for a flight in the next day or two to Egypt.
Okay. Alright, well, it'll be a little difficult for me personally to learn about that, but, from what the Great Lord Cockroach has told me, if we want, I can contact, a friend of ours that, might be able to, read the spirits a little better. He might be able to tell it, or at least, commune with a spirit that could, lead us in the right direction.
I take it you mean walks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got great connections in the spirit world.
Yeah, sometimes he's a radio in it. It's real weird.
Would he be willing to join us on a trip to Egypt?
Like I'm like the only one who seemed to get that.
You were speaking to me through a radio. You know, we were having a good conversation through it. And then I had to climb into some beer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's what happened.
I really, really forgot how great that journey was. As soon as you describe it, it's like...
Okay.
So would this friend be willing to join us on a trip to Egypt?
I could check in with him.
Go for it.
Alright, he'll reach out to Walks, and he'll come back to you as you're, like, arranging to get you into Egypt, and he'll be like, he can show up. I guess, we should just, let him know and give him a couple days in advance of some time, and he could probably show up for a few days. So, when we got a general idea of where we're actually going, we could try grabbing him. He's a little busy, but not too busy.
All right. Sounds good.
What's something touristy you would wear to Egypt? I already wore all my Hawaiian shirts.
Well, do you want to be stereotypically touristy, or do you want to be otherwise touristy? Because we could get you a brand new camera with like a kimono or something. You could be.
Ooh.
We could get you a shawl.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I like that one.
Alrighty.
Okay, so you'll get your clothing together, you'll make the arrangements. Where are you heading into? Heading into Cairo? I would have to look up other big cities in Egypt otherwise. I could.
Cairo sounds just fine.
Okay.
There'll probably be plenty of people there that speak English.
Yeah, there's a good number within the town that speak English. There's a lot of tourists that come into, so English is a big language. You'll come into the Cairo International Airport on the eastern... on the kind of northeastern section of the city proper. So I'm guessing you're getting some kind of place to stay at there, as you normally do. What's your plan in Egypt?
Not exactly sure. Wander around for a bit. See what we find. Is there a Pentex headquarters in Egypt?
Is there Pentex headquarters in Egypt? Let me actually look that up because I'm actually unsure. Pentex headquarters.
I feel like it's probably gotta be.
Probably.
Oh, we're gonna break into Pentex.
They are a multinational corporation. Subsidiaries. Roll business intelligence, actually.
Alrighty. Let's see. Business is not a skill.
Or finance. Finance, yeah, I'm sorry, finance.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Ding.
Gotta love it when you just play a whole bunch of different RPGs and you just kind of get skill names mixed up.
I can never remember the skill names in this one because, like, it's like I'm trying to think of, like, which ones are World of Darkness and which ones are goddamn Shadowrun because they sound alike a lot. I'm like,
Oh, well,
is it
with
finance
Shadowrun,
or
you-
business?
With Shadowrun, you always just say, roll me X, and somebody will look through their character sheet and go, how about this? And you'll be like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I guess that'll do. Oh.
You can look into it, and knowing the name, like the Pentex, Pentex is the main one. There is a subsidiary of Pentex within Egypt. One that deals with... What the frick is a major product of Egypt currently?
Tourism?
Major product of
Egyptian cotton.
Egypt. Yeah, cotton. God, you're right. So yeah, it's a major cotton exporter from Egypt.
Score.
Alrighty.
So there you go. You'll find your way into your kind of your apartment-y place that you're staying at, and you'll be able to settle in nicely. It is it doesn't bother you, but you can all tell it is certainly hot. Ryan's having a little bit of an issue. Even at night, it's hot. It's the desert. It's the desert in the middle of the city. You're enjoying plenty of heat. So...
Well, that's what air conditioning is for.
Yeah. Ryan just kind of parked himself in front of it, and he's like, "Oh, this place is hotter than a dog's anus." I don't know.
Oh.
I was trying to think of a weird Midwestern saying that no one would know, and I'm sure.
Yep, it's hot. All right. Emil, would you mind looking up some information on the Pentex Egyptian cotton exporter? See
Sure.
what kind of business they do, where they're located, whether they do tours of the site, that kind of thing.
Computer intelligence? Dentist?
Sure.
Cool. Difficulty?
I mean, this is
normal?
pretty basic
standard.
information.
Yeah, it is standard.
Cool. Standard for me is 4 because I get bonuses to computers.
Woo!
Ooh.
Yeah, you can find out like tourism schedules and stuff that's going on. There probably are. It's not that there couldn't be, but there rarely is any kind of like night tours. Most of the places are closed down during it. Like, if you really needed to, you could probably arrange for something. It's not something that's like, it's sort of like the Berlin Zoo had the evening/night tours because it was a time that people that wanted to pay more to give some extra money to them.
Not to mention, there also are such things as nocturnal animals in which that kind of thing is of interest.
This here, unfortunately, because you don't get to see as well, not such. Like if you inquired like discreetly with a couple of like people that would run tours for some extra money, some of them seeming like they might be willing to run a tour at night. They would give things of like, if you're like, I only have this much time, I would still want to see this, it would probably have to be like in the early evening or like early into the night when like the sun is gone, like, right after like, sun is down like 8 or 9 at night, is like the only time. Is there possibility of getting a tour at that time? And they're like, it's not going to be as good, but if you really want to see some stuff, you could. Honestly, like, I freaking have looked at the map here. I am surprised how close civilization is to the Great Pyramids. You never see it from the desert. Like, they always have those angles of, like, the desert, which is behind it, but, like...
No, it's always, they're always taken from the angle of, like, the city.
Yeah, rather than towards the city. The city is really close by. I am honestly surprised they are. As close as they are. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, what do you guys think? Should we go on a tour? Should we try and figure out who those of the dynasty that were not deluged are? Find out where there might be an underground cavern of a destroyed city?
Is that something a tour guide would know?
I mean, perhaps if we searched for, I don't know, local legend type things.
Ooh, yeah, get them to tell us ghost stories.
There is a place in the middle of the desert, a restaurant called Nine Pyramids Lounge, south of the pyramids, so you can get a full view of it. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's gotta be so goddamn expensive. Anyway. We've got me on Google Maps, now looking up something else. Now it's Egypt. That's the way these vacations you take to various places always digress. I'm on Google Maps looking up stuff. Okay, so you're heading. Are you gonna take a night tour of the pyramids then? I guess.
Yeah, let's do that.
Sure.
Okay, it's nice. You get to learn all about it. You go for this standard kind of like tour. there isn't a lot of lights. It'll probably cost you like extra, like we'll say like 3 times normal amount for the special night tour, and they'll include like having some like lights and flashlights and stuff. But they'll take you on what the standard like of showing you everything is. You'll get to see the various English pyramids, the Sphinx, all that stuff around the area. They'll probably take you to all the most popular areas within Giza.
The local Pizza Hut.
I mean, like, there's a goddamn place called the Pyramid Gardens, which is just like suburbs, but they're like, they're like the classic, like more brick houses of Cairo and stuff. But it's literally like right next to the pyramids. I mean, like it is stuffed in there. Man, Cairo. A very interesting city.
Apparently there's a Giza necropolis.
It's also the oldest thing that I mentioned before is the Saqqara necropolis. Or Saqqara, sorry. It's like a Q. I say QQARA.
Saqqara necropolis. How's that spelled?
SAQQARA.
Yeah.
More south, but that's the oldest pyramid in Egypt. Oldest surviving pyramid, I think.
Yep.
Nearly collapsed in an earthquake 14 years ago.
Oh. Yeah, south of Cairo there. So, you'll take your tour of the pyramids. You'll learn a few things. You'll enjoy learning about it.
Actually, it is cool just how green the area around the Nile is.
Yes, the river is very good at having things grow. Surprisingly, the Nile Delta is quite green.
It's almost as if civilizations would have picked it as a great spot.
Like in between the Tigris and Euphrates, like these places in the middle of nowhere where there's probably green. It seems like a great idea to build there.
Although it's kind of amusing that it's almost exclusively on the west side of the Nile.
Probably has to do with flooding, the way it floods. It's like slightly more depressed on that side.
I'd be slightly more depressed on the other side.
Yep.
Grass is always greener.
Yep.
But I'm
The grass would always be greener on the other side of the river.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we learned cool stuff about the pyramids.
Could be what you're looking for. You're not sure.
Nope.
Oh, obviously this is not what we're looking for. We just took that as a side trip.
Yeah,
Pretty
we
much.
know that we can't normally do touristy things after we've done our actual objective because then we get kicked out, so we gotta do them before.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Oh yeah, is that like a prince we should go introduce ourselves to?
Let me find out actually.
So we can get our snack on?
Cairo. Okay, the city is officially aligned with the Camarilla. Good news for you. There are several factions organized into Kitas, loosely defined districts that are the domain of a particular clan or lineage. They're usually self-governed, but all obey in the end, except a representative from each kingdom to a consultative council. I don't know if the known prince... Oh no, he is still in charge. Mukhar Bey is the Prince of Cairo. He has been that way since the 14th century. He still technically is. So he rules over that council, but each group is kind of there. There are 9 Kitas, so you have to worry about not only the prince, but what area the city is. Oh, Jesus. Emil, please roll me an occult intelligence. Difficulty 8.
Okay. Intelligence.
What have you done, Emil?
I don't know, and I'm scared. I got 1 success, and...
Rumors are that Sakara is home to a powerful Methuselah. Methuselah are like 5th, 4th generation.
Got it.
The Nile Islands are home to Mukhar Bey himself. There's a group of Setis there. There's a group of True Bruja in the city. There's Lasombra who stayed outside the Sabbat and allied with the Shuria. The Ashuria are effectively a group of vampires from various clans that are Islamic vampires. So that's a good way of saying it. There is a group of those, primarily populated by Nosferatu, who protect the Islamic inhabitants of that area. There's a group of Ventru in the city who claim lineage from a former Prince of Rome. And there's an Assamite group in the city. Oh, and a Toreador group. So you could choose what section of the city to have your basically accommodations in, but because they are also self-governance, not only do you have to go to the prince, you have to go to whoever is charged there.
Obviously, all Azrak.
Okay, so you're going to Home of the Ventru, because that's Banu al-Azrak. Okay, so you can show yourself...
Wait, so what was the deal with the Methuselah again?
It's a Methuselah known as Angelique, who's said to make her haven in Sakara.
Okay.
There are rumors of it.
I will inform people of that, then.
That seems not good.
Let me put it this way. She's known because the one clan that is not within Cairo is the Giovanni, because she is a Cappadocian. The clan that were slaughtered off by the Giovanni in order to gain their power.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah. So she made a deal with Mukhar Bey that all the Giovanni are kept out of Cairo and the surrounding areas.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, you got pretty good, so you'll know the reason she was able to do this is basically she raised an army of the dead
Oh.
and threatened to, you know, attack the city and disturb the Masquerade unless she was protected. But in return, if something happens in the underworld, she does inform the Prince of Cairo.
Goddamn snitch.
Oof.
Yeah. Yeah, she is 5th gen. So, yeah.
Oh.
So things like necromancy 8 she could probably use, I would say. Especially with the entire summoning the dead.
Love.
They totally have changed around necromancy over the years, so it's like, it's just crazy stuff. I think it's more like freaking thaumaturgy now, but still. So it's just that she has a lot of very powerful paths and stuff, and can go beyond normal. Anyway, yeah, so Angelique.
Great. Great.
Like we did the touristy things first.
Yeah. And Mukar Bey is a catif. Catif. If I actually try to pronounce it right. Meaning he has no clan. Whether this is by him being abandoned and never knowing, or there are rare vampires that are just, when they are embraced, they don't have a clan either. Even if their sire would be of a certain bloodline, they just aren't matched to it. Those two things occur. Not sure which he is, but he is catif.
The group that she keeps out is called the what? The Giovanni?
Giovanni.
Giovanni.
Think of them as mobsters that are necromancers. They're like the Italian mob, but also necromancers. That is really the best way to describe them.
I just wanted to write them.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They are a clan of vampires that is currently unaligned.
Great. Great. Okay. So, we've got a 5th gen
In the area.
Who can raise an army of zombies or whatever.
Mm-hmm. You have effectively an independent prince who leans towards the Camarilla. Basically, like, he will make a decision for his city regardless, but oftentimes sides with the Camarilla. That's the way you have to think of him.
Okay.
And then you have all those factions I talked about under him directly. He basically, similar to how, like, the Camarilla has a council, he has a council of, like, these different groups, of the 9 different groups. He is officially head of one of those councils, so he's one of the 9, but, like, he's almost like the elected permanent official at charge of all of them.
Okay.
And there's some, like, interesting groups here. You have, like, a group of Toreador, who came with Napoleon and kind of settled. A group of Assamite, a group of Ventru from Rome, a group of primarily Nosferatu Islamic vampires, a La Sombra, who's allied to those pretty much well, and who never was part of the Sabbat.
And some true Bruja.
Some true Bruja.
Ooh,
So they would maybe get along with Dawn.
I have friends.
The only place.
Looking for them, Dawn?
This also has the only place which it claims to have a legitimate domain for the Setis, the followers of Set.
Oh.
Most of the places they're kind of like tolerated in another place. This they have actual home. In the entire like Set Egypt thing, though. It's,
So, where are we starting our search? And who are we reporting to?
well, you'll have to first go to Bukhar Bay. When you come to Bukhar Bay, he will in fact, as a visitor, bring you to where the council he has is meeting, which will be what appears to be like an old place under the city. Kind of looks like an old, almost temple area. Probably something from old Egypt. You don't know what version of Cairo it was built in, but it definitely harkens into ancient Egypt with some of its architecture. When announcing yourself and being let in, you will see that he will be at the head of a group of council in a circle. A broken circle where you kind of come in on one side, and then they kind of circle all around you. He will have a man next to him, who will kind of come up, and he'll kind of whisper something into his ear, and the man next to him will be like, "Speak, travelers. Why have you come to Cairo?"
Mostly tourism, experiencing something new, expanding our cultural vision, tasting some new delicacies, perhaps. And performing services for distant friends.
The other one will kind of whisper in his ear, and he'll kind of like look at you, and like then kind of say something back to him. Why should you be allowed to travel into our city?
Well, aside from general practices and us not presenting or intending any troubles, we hope not to tarry terribly long, and the less time one spends, the less trouble one can get into.
There's some more whispering back and forth. You may stay in the city, but be warned, you will be watched. Woos, you must also get permission from those you are staying with. Where will you be staying?
I had set up my abode in Banu. What's it called? Al-Azraq.
Al-Azraq. Yeah, so that region. This,
In the hopes that those of my clan would welcome me. And my guests.
one of the men, like, one of the people will lean forward, a kind of, swarthy, Egyptian-looking man, and be like, probably a little lighter skin than your average Egyptian. He will kind of turn towards you and go, "Those of Antonius welcome you, brother. Those of our clan who come in peace, even if they would have strange friends."
My thanks.
You will be invited to a party. You must attend. to show
Of course.
reverence to those that have taken you in. Tomorrow night. Of course, those here of the council are invited, if you wish to come. Hard to tell who's going to show up.
Are my associates invited to the party as well?
Yes, they may come.
Again, my thanks.
Let me give you this here. That's not what I need. Is that the correct one? That is one of the correct ones. That is not one of the correct sheets. That is the correct sheets. There's good old Theodore. That's what I'm going to make notes of. Just so I give you. He'll give you directions and introduce himself as Nash T. Nabif. Nash T. Nabif. I will put this into chat here, in case I'm really butchering it.
So, who's introducing themselves as Nasty Teeth?
He seems to be the representative of the Ventru here. Like, cursory information about Cairo, the representative can change, though the prince technically does not. He's currently the one that's been chosen to represent the Banu al-Azraq.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, this is the Consultative Council. Central Cairo is a Kita-free zone, but then you have to worry about anyone being there. Also, like, it's a little bit more free-willed, though the prince, you know, technically protects that area. Theoretically. Anyway. Man, at least Angelique does a nice job. Apparently she keeps ghosts out of the city.
Oh.
And you think Cairo would have a lot of ghosts.
Particularly ones that were a little miffed.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. The entire, you know, like, thousands upon thousands of years of really awful things happening.
Yeah, not to mention you got all, like, you know, Romans and so many people and other people have all passed through and lots of stuff has happened.
Yeah. Well, it's what they're like, it's officially aligned to the Camarilla, but most of these groups that are in here are older than the Camarilla and have been here since who knows when. Like, one of the newer ones is the Toreadors from, Banu Duval, you know, who arrived with Napoleon and have their own territory.
Well, he was in, what, the 1600s? No.
I mean, the camera is still a nice general thing to ally with, because it's just pretty general. It's just generally protective.
Oh, no. 17 to 1800s. That's only the last few centuries.
Yeah, so they're the newest group.
I mean, the Camarilla is kind of like the equivalent of the UN. You kind of want it on your side, even if you're not going to follow its doctrines.
Unless you absolutely hate it, in which case, kill them all.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right. Cool. Well.
Okay, we'll take our second break here, though.
Yep.
As we'll go on, and if you need to use the restroom, grab a snack, grab a drink, go ahead and do that. And we will come back for the last bit of here as I also try to figure out what other supernatural crap is in the city. Because there's more. We just went over the vampire stuff. There's more stuff going on in the city. It's a busy city, and it has a lot of ancient history, and you're now hanging out here who knows for how long. But for a little bit.
Yep.
Anyway, on the trail of 3 chalices, which has led you at least to this region. So you're in the right region as far as you know. Are you in the right city? Yeah. But the right region.
We shall see.
You're at least a lot closer than you were when you were in New York.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll be back shortly.